want to give myself some space to allow the feeling to take care of itself. It's like the pain body. The feeling is going to come through. It also has its own lifespan and it's going to leave when it's ready. There's nothing you can do about it. You can think you're going to go to the doctor, I'm going to have acupuncture, I'm going to do this, but it won't leave until it's ready to leave. And the only way it'll be ready to leave is if you give it permission.
So how do we know that feelings that we have inside of us are not based on the past, and there's something over here, they're here to guide us, that like what's our next step? Like how do I know that those feelings are right? Because let's say you said that, many times when we do manifesting, so we manifest things that have nothing to do with us. Like no one said that God wants us to have that. But if I want to say, okay,
no, you will never manifest something that's not for you. That's what I'm saying. Save yourself the struggle. Okay, let's put some order.
Can I take those feelings, say that they're mine, and manifest them? Like how do I know what's real feelings? I'm confused over here.
All right, so let's take care of this. Reactions that come in the form of feelings, which we called energy fields, because they're in the body. The mind ego can't feel, the body feels. Now, when did those first feelings erupt? When we became humans, when we became the survivor. In that moment, every single feeling that you recognize started there. That is the origin. Now, in the spiritual world, we say we reincarnate. In the Kabbalah, they call it klipot. They call it, like an onion has, what happened to my
layers?
Layers, right. So each incarnation is a layer. But what is it a layer of? That original feeling. So unlike psychology, a psychologist will take you to your childhood and they'll say, oh yeah, you're feeling that because your father once shouted at you or whatever. But that's a layer on top of the original feeling that happened the moment you left the vessel and you became a survivor. So I don't want to have to go through all those layers. I want to go straight to the origin. How do I do that? I let go of everything I think I know. And what am I left with? I'm left with an energy field that is in my body. That energy field is a magnetic field. It's usually, if it's automatic, it's usually negative, because the only way we knew how to love is on condition, because that's the survivor. So what I want to do is I want to not tell the story, oh, because my father did that, and that's because I don't want to get involved with the stories. I want to give myself some space to allow the feeling to take care of itself. It's like the pain body. The feeling is going to come through. It also has its own lifespan, and it's going to leave when it's ready. There's nothing you can do about it. You can think you're going to go to the doctor, I'm going to have acupuncture, I'm going to do this, but it won't leave until it's ready to leave. And the only way it'll be ready to leave is if you give it permission.
Permission to come in or to leave?
Permission to be. It came in because it erupted. It came in and it needs to leave on its own merit. So you don't interfere with it. So what we say is that when there's a problem, you move away from the problem. You don't try to solve problems. The only thing you do is to try and fix your demeanor. Now, if we're talking about manifestation feelings, once you've given permission to that, and aside to that, you are living in the here and now, you make a choice how you want to feel about you in the now. You can use anything. You can use a prop. You can look at a flower and say, okay, I'm going to smile. Whatever you want, use the physical world to make you feel good, okay? Because at the end of the day, anything you ever want is to feel a feeling. There is nothing you would do. You wouldn't move from your chair if you didn't want to feel a feeling. You wouldn't buy a new car. You wouldn't want to strive for a new house. You wouldn't want to do anything unless you wanted to feel a feeling. But because we live in the here and now, I want to feel it in my now. I don't want to wait till it happens. I want to feel it now because that's what I want. So if you're telling a story about the past, you're feeling it in the now. And if you're telling a story about the future, you're feeling it in the now. There isn't another space and time that you can feel that. But if you start a sentence saying, I feel that, that's where the lie is. Because the ego mind can't feel. But if you say my ego is telling a story about this energy field that I have, then you see the difference. And what you're left with is, you know what? I'll just let this energy field do whatever it needs to do. And I'm going to make a choice. What do I want to feel right now? Because you can wash the dishes with a frown or a smile. You're still washing the dishes. You see, it's never about the situation. And we're never afraid of a situation. We're always afraid of how we would feel in a situation. Okay, so that's the difference. So there's twofold. One is allowing the energy field that's erupted on its own. It's a reaction. It has to come from the past. The other one is, okay, how do I want to feel right now? Because I want to fix the way I feel so that I can really help people elate. That can't happen if I'm feeling in the dumps. If I'm telling a story, if poor little me, right?
Yeah, but is that step number 2? So first I need to feel that feeling, and only then I need to ask myself, how do I want to feel? Like I'll give you an example. Okay, so let's say I'll take a real example.
Okay.
As you know, I'm in the dating world for a long time, and after years, there was a girl that I felt inside that, you know, we really had like a soul connection, and this can work. And I hardly knew her, but I said like I'm committed for this relationship to work. And then she told me, it was nice to meet you, but I'm continuing my life. And at the beginning, like in the past, I would have said, you know what, yeah, like be strong, throw the feeling away, and put on your running shoes, go run, and everything will be fine. Put your mind on gratitude and whatever.
Nah, it won't work.
Yeah, so today I decided I'll feel the feeling, the pain, and believe me, it was painful. But what do I do? Now after I felt that, I said, okay, I give myself 1 hour. Okay, after 1 hour, I feel something else. Like, for how much time do I need
No,
to
you're still
that feeling?
thinking. You're still thinking. Look, first of all, she did not bring a new feeling out of you. That is always the original survivor feeling. Whatever's happening to us, if that comes up, the pain comes up, it's that old feeling. She's only a trigger in this lifetime.
Like everyone else, you said whoever's on our path meant to be on our path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, there's no such thing as rejection. There is such a thing as suitable or not suitable. And when we awaken ourselves to that and we look at our own truth, we could ask ourselves, is she really compatible for me? But we're not busy asking that question when somebody else has made the decision for us. But if you really look inside, you'll see it wouldn't have worked. Now, this is the thing, twofold. One, the original feeling was there. I don't give it time or whatever. It has its own time space. Some feelings will take longer than others to dissipate because they've got all these layers to go through. They're energy fields. I don't interfere with that. I had a feeling that lasted a long time, but I still lived adjacent to that and said, okay, you just carry on doing your thing. It has its own entity.
And you let it be.
You just let it be because it's there anyway. Now, if you're going to resist it and argue with it and build a story on it, you're going to be in pain for a long time. But if you allow it, it's going to go because it's that original. Okay, so now we come to the situation of the day. Now, when you get together with somebody, you will never get together with anyone that you didn't reincarnate with, that you didn't have unfinished business with. You can go into a space where there are 2,000 people and you'll connect to one because it's familiar, because there's something that happened before. Okay? And it means that you've got a lesson to learn together. You have to go through it, but you can't control it. Now, this is the thing. Each soul has made a contract with the other to bring the other to its next level in its spiritual path. Okay? And if something gets too bad, you want to cut the contract because you haven't come here to sacrifice yourself. Okay? Yeah. So it's not the story, it's let's look at the truth. So if she didn't want it, it's not meant for you. But the ego wants to keep chasing something that doesn't want us because we want to prove to them our value. And that's where we know that we're lessening our own value. Because you're always going to chase, well, you know, when you start chasing somebody, what happens to the other side? They run.
Right.
You can't chase somebody standing still. Okay? So we want to understand what it's like to have our own value, to be the flower, not the bee. We want the world to come to us based on who we are. Because remember, your script was already written. The God universe knows your script. You don't, you're in discovery. Okay? And somehow the ego, based on so many notions, based on what it thinks it sees, based on culture, will tell you how you're supposed to live your life. What about if you're not supposed to live your life that way? Maybe some people have things written in their line and some people don't. Some people are supposed to have children, some people don't. It doesn't matter how much you're going to think and dream about having children. If it's meant for you, you will have a child. And if it's not, you won't. But are you going to say, I'm not going to be happy unless I have it? You were given a life. Enjoy the life. Now, you will never know how it's going to come about. I've seen cases where condoms have been torn, where contraception didn't work. People say, oh, we're not going to have a child, and suddenly, boom, they've had a child. Because that child had to come out. How do we know? It's creation. Okay? And when that child comes out, on the day it comes out, it's coming back is also written. It's coming out of this world is also written. So there are two dates that have got nothing to do with us. The coming in and the coming out. We've got to live the middle. Nobody dies of illness. You die with the illness. But you're still going to die on the day you were supposed to die.
Wow.
Let you into another secret. When I was very young, this was one of my first out-of-body experiences. I've had many. I drowned and I immediately got out. I wasn't suffering. My body was underwater, swallowing gallons of water. I wasn't suffering. I was watching it. Okay. And then when my father jumps in to take me out and pumps the water out, it felt like an earthquake had hit me. I came back. I didn't want to come back because you just can't believe the freedom of that thing. It's just, oh, wow. There isn't no comparison. Okay. But there were two things that I understood. First of all, I had the evidence that you just don't die. What dies is the control. You become this floating oneness. The other thing I understood was you don't have pain when you die because God is so clever. If you're watching a lion attack a zebra, you're looking and you're saying, oh, the poor zebra, but the zebra went. The zebra is not there. It's watching its own body being eaten. It's not suffering. That's if you're supposed to die. If you're supposed to live, say, after a gunshot, you will have some pain because pain only exists in life.
Yeah.
It can't exist in death. Okay?
Wow.
So you have to understand that there's this genius. I don't understand it. I don't know it. But I know it's there. And I want to be able to surrender to that genius because that's the genius who created everything.
Wow.
And that's when the pain stops.
When you realize that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you soon.
Looking forward. I hope you enjoyed the video and you got some tools to overcome your challenges and light your path. For us to help other people, please press that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget that the most amazing things in life are the one you take for granted.